one quarter of retirees could stay renters. Now, um, for some people, they'll never move on to the ladder of property ownership, and then there's also issues about cost of servicing mortgages. People are expecting to die with a mortgage. For even people trying to buy in, it's just yeah, one quarter of retirees being in rental accommodation. Well, I mean, that depends on how you can retire. Are people going to retire? So the the question is, I mean, they're picking on the fact that home building isn't keeping up with the population, and so that there's a shortfall of quite a lot of houses. And we've talked about these sort of issues. And so underbuilding means more pressure on available housing, greater number of multi-generational housing, which just normally wasn't a thing in Australian culture, but is probably going to be something more so, not just because of immigrant communities, but because people can't afford not to. And they're complaining about how things like first homeowners schemes is making housing affordability worse, that it's poor due to um, prices to wages. My pay didn't go up 200% in the last 20 years. House prices have risen more than 400% in the last 20 years. And that, yes, you're looking at least 10 years of saving to get a deposit. To what level? And that, yes, the numbers who owned outright have decreased from 3/4 to 2/3, which, I mean, they still own a lot of the housing stock, but it's pointing out to people that looks like Adelaide. Kind of looks like Adelaide to me. Um, the yeah, so reducing the number of outright ownership, increasing numbers with a mortgage. It's going to affect how people get into aged care, if they can at all, like aged care, residential aged care. It's going to affect their ability to fund home care packages, aged care in the home, that sort of thing. It's going to cause issues. And so um, the, the the ones in the very lowest bracket where you're looking at uh, rent-free or otherwise social housing, yeah, okay, they've stayed roughly the same. So the rest of the percentage of retirees are people renting, and so when you're on a retirement income, well, you may not be pulling down that much per week or fortnight per month, and out of that you're going to have to service a rent. Now I'm guessing you're going to have to decrease, and now there's some bigger concerns there with people in private rentals have no super, more than one quarter don't have any super, and that the super balance is relatively low. And basically half of what the homeowners have. And oh yeah, I mean $100,000 a year, that's $100,000 in super total is not much at retirement, seriously. But yeah, and the guys here saying, look, if you own your place, you can do it with 100 grand, but if you're renting, you're going to need at least three times that. So again, calling for extra assistance and extra help, but yeah, it's just showing that the things aren't keeping up. In fact, given that they're talking about less socializing and things like that and relationships, I suspect this is the same basic article that Channel 9 had. No, yes, Channel 9 had. So, all right. I mean, since we're on retirement, we might as well stay there for a sec. Is there something that I want to really hit before I finish up today? No, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but I spent a lot of time on the On the Estonian thing, well, that certainly stuck it in. So I guess this come down to some of the other articles. Confidence and retirement. Again, people talking about whether or not we're going to be retiring in their 60s or now into their 70s. And yeah, there's a degree of forced superannuation contributions. You can always increase that contribution, but your minimum super contributions and stuff, not really going to get you much of a comfortable lifestyle at the moment. Um, I think we looked at this figure the other day. It's pretty similar to that. AMP, they're in a lot of superannuation stuff. So for them to come out and say this, I think it's fairly reasonable. That I mean, whatever they say in this regard is probably fairly safe to take. So 75,000 a year to retire, and I'm guessing that's to pull out of your super. Um, Females are going to be less secure in their retirement than males, probably because they've had a shorter working life and probably at a lower pay. Particularly if you're, I mean, not so much if you're individual. Single females with children, yeah, you're not likely not to be in a high-paying role. So that means low super payments, low contributions. Um, sad reality. Sad reality. So yeah, there is a bit of a gender split, but I mean, well, how much can be done to fix it? Sandwich generation. That's an interesting term. Yeah, as people who do have children, as their children get older, I mean, there's article after article about how hard it is for the new adults to enter the workplace or enter the property market, and also there is just recently there an article about retirees having struggles, and so someone stuck in the middle are your slightly older workers with families and parents and having to support. I mean, there was an article, and we haven't got to it, about a bloke that basically had to quit his job to go care for a relative with dementia, and the impact that dementia has on people is pretty poor. But yeah, that was covered off, and that there was a degree of contribution. In fact, this looks like the same figures. I dare say the other article was also taking from the AMP report. So shifts, older. Okay, costs of living. We've covered that sort of stuff.